The night was heavy with rain, each drop tapping against the window like a quiet echo of Emma's thoughts. Her small apartment in Chicago felt colder than usual. The kind of cold that had nothing to do with temperature. It was the kind that came from within. Bills lay scattered across the coffee table, some opened, some still sealed. Her phone kept lighting up with calls she couldn't bring herself to answer. The world outside kept moving, but for Emma, time had slowed to a crawl. She sank deeper into the couch, her arms wrapped around her knees. God, I can't do this anymore, she whispered into the silence. Her voice cracked as she said it, as if speaking the words made the pain more real. The weight of exhaustion, fear, and loneliness pressed on her chest until she could barely breathe. She felt like she was drowning, not in water, but in life itself. On the floor, half hidden under a pile of papers, she noticed her old Bible. Its cover was worn and its pages slightly bent, a reminder of better days when she still believed things could change. With trembling hands, she pulled it closer and let it fall open on her lap. She hadn't planned to read anything specific, she just needed a sign. Her eyes landed on Isaiah 41 verse 10. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Emma stared at the verse, her tears blurring the words. For the first time in weeks, something deep inside her stirred, not relief, but a small spark of peace. She whispered the verse over and over again, each time a little louder, as if trying to convince her heart to believe it. The storm outside grew stronger, wind rattling the window, but she no longer felt afraid. Instead, she closed her eyes and imagined God's hand lifting her from the darkness, steadying her soul. The world hadn't changed. Her problems hadn't vanished, but her spirit felt lighter. For the first time in a long while, Emma breathed deeply and whispered, "Thank you, Lord, for not leaving me alone." The morning sun broke gently through the blinds, casting soft stripes of light across Emma's living room. The sound of birds outside felt different today, lighter, almost hopeful. For the first time in weeks, she didn't wake up dreading the day ahead. The Bible still rested on her nightstand, open to the verse that had given her peace the night before. Fear not, for I am with you. She tied her sneakers and stepped outside into the cool morning air. The neighborhood park was quiet, just the hum of the city in the distance, the steady rhythm of her shoes hitting the path, and her own heartbeat syncing with her thoughts. She began to whisper, another verse she had written, on a sticky note and placed on her mirror that morning. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4 verse 13. At first, the words felt forced, like she was trying to convince herself of something impossible. But with every step, something inside began to align. Her breathing steadied, her shoulders loosened. And for the first time in months, her mind wasn't filled with fear, it was filled with faith. An elderly woman sitting on a park bench smiled and waved. You look like you're chasing peace, dear, she said with a gentle laugh. Emma smiled back, slightly out of breath. Trying to, she replied. The woman nodded knowingly. Then keep running toward him, not away. You'll find it. Those words stayed with Emma long after she left the park. Back home, she made a simple breakfast, brewed her coffee, and sat by the window watching the sunlight spill across the table. She opened her journal and began writing, not about her problems, but about promises. Promises of strength, peace, and new beginnings. Every verse she wrote down felt like a seed planted deep in her heart. The fear wasn't gone. The struggles hadn't vanished, but her perspective was changing. She wasn't fighting alone anymore. As the day went on, she found herself smiling without forcing it. The same world that once felt heavy now seemed full of quiet beauty. The renewal had begun, not outside, but within. A week later, the grey skyscrapers of downtown Chicago loomed above Emma as she hurried into her office building. The buzz of ringing phones, clicking keyboards, and hushed voices filled the open workspace. It was a normal Monday, except Emma could sense the tension in the air. Her team had been working for months on a major marketing campaign, and this morning, their biggest client had just pulled out. Her boss, Mr. Reynolds, stood near the conference table, arms crossed, frustration written all over his face. "This is a disaster," he said sharply. "How did we let this happen?" The room went silent. Emma felt every eye turn toward her. Normally, this would have been the moment she froze, anxiety tightening her chest, her mind spiraling into fear. But today, she remembered something deeper. She took a slow breath and silently repeated the verse she had read that morning before, leaving home. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. 2 Timothy 1 verse 7. The words steadied her heartbeat. She straightened her posture and spoke calmly. We can still fix this. Let's focus on what we can control. We've faced worse before. The team looked at her, surprised. Even Mr. Reynolds paused, then nodded slightly. All right, Emma. What's your plan? As she walked the group through her idea, pivoting the strategy, refocusing the pitch, reaching out to new prospects, she felt an unexpected strength flowing through her. Her voice didn't shake. Her mind didn't race. It was as if peace had replaced panic. Hours later, after the meeting ended, Mr. Reynolds stopped by her desk. You handled that like a pro, he said quietly. Keep it up. Emma smiled, grateful but humble. Thank you, sir, she replied. Though she knew the strength hadn't come from her, it had come from above. That evening, she took a quiet walk along the lakefront, the city lights reflecting off the water. She whispered, Thank you, Lord, for being my calm in the storm. Her problems weren't gone, but she had faced fear and stood firm. That was a victory, the kind that only faith could win. Sunday morning sunlight poured gently through the stained glass windows of Grace Fellowship Church. Soft music from the worship band filled the sanctuary, the kind that quieted the heart. Before a prayer was ever spoken, Emma sat near the back row, her Bible open on her lap. Just weeks ago, she had walked through these same doors feeling lost, exhausted, and uncertain of her future. But today, she sat still, peaceful, and aware of something greater than herself, the steady presence of God. The pastor's voice echoed warmly through the church. When life feels overwhelming, he said, remember Psalm 46 verses 1 to 2. He paused, looking around the room. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear. Those words washed over Emma like sunlight breaking through clouds. She closed her eyes, letting them settle deep within her. Every verse she had clung to, every whispered prayer in the dark, had brought her to this moment. The tears came, not from pain this time, but from gratitude. As the congregation began to sing, It is well with my soul, she joined softly at first. Then louder, her voice clear and confident. She realized that the peace she felt wasn't because her life was perfect. It was because she had learned to lean on the one who never failed her. After the service ended, she walked outside into the crisp autumn air. The trees along the street had turned brilliant shades of gold and red, their leaves falling like blessings from above. Emma stood for a moment, breathing it all in, the laughter of families nearby, the distant sound of church bells, the warmth of sunlight on her face. Her phone buzzed with new messages, work emails, reminders, the usual chaos, but for once, she didn't rush to respond. She just smiled, looking up at the bright blue sky. Thank you, Lord, she whispered, for carrying me through. She wasn't the same woman who had cried on her couch that rainy night. She had found something stronger than fear, faith, something deeper than stress, peace. And as she walked down the church steps, Emma knew this was only the beginning of her new, strengthened life in Christ.